welcome back to the NoScore Review Show. I'm your host, Nick Green, and today I am joined by Shay Martin. Welcome back, Shay.
Thank you.
And Michael Bentley is making his debut to the NoScore Review Show. Michael, thank you for joining me today.
Not a problem. Happy to be here.
And today we are reviewing the critically acclaimed number one hit at the box office, movie of the year, Cocaine Bear. You really don't need much more explanation than that. It's you kind of get what you pay for, and thank God, because if it was a disappointment, then well, frankly, we might not be doing this episode. But I think it warrants some discussion. So yeah, we're gonna get right into it. The first bit of this show will be spoiler free. Not that that really is going to be a huge impact on this viewing experience for people, I imagine. But yeah, we're going to do no spoiler thoughts for the beginning, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty with our highlights and lowlights. And yeah, so Shay, let's start with you today. What were your general thoughts for Cocaine Bear? We got to see it together.
Yes,
with a group
we
of
saw
friends.
it together last night.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Cocaine Bear is exactly what you sign up for. It's one of those movies where you just go with a bunch of friends, get a beer, shut your brain off for an hour and a half.
Yep.
Overall, yeah, it brought a couple chuckles. I wish at times it was a little bit more ramped up in some ways,
Totally.
and there were some misses for comedy with me, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'd ever see it again, but
Yeah.
it's
It was a
I
good
think
time.
yeah, Elizabeth Banks, I think it's a turning point for her, actually. I'm
Yeah,
kind of
'cause
excited to see
what
what
else
else she
has she
does.
done? She did the Charlie's Angels reboot, right? And
Yes,
she done anything else directing?
I think she did Pitch Perfect 2, I want to say.
Oh, really? She did one of those?
I think those are her 2 acting credits. I could be wrong.
To directing credits.
Or sorry, directing credits.
Right. Let's see.
Oh no, she has 7 directing credits.
Whoa.
Pitch Perfect 2, Movie 43, Just a Little Heart Attack.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, she's like had some experience at the very least. So yeah, I think I didn't hear a ton of great things about the Charlie's Angels reboot, but I think she directed this one fairly well. Like you said, it's a fun romp. It was a great movie to see with a packed theater. It got some like hoots and hollers at some of the pretty wild, violent sections in particular. But yeah, I think it like suffered a little bit from like some pacing issues a little bit towards the like final act. I found myself kind of being like, okay, this could be kind of sped along a little bit more. But overall, I think it was a good time. The highlight was definitely a lot of the violence and the just absolute insanity that occurs from the bear running rampant throughout the forest. And yeah, Michael, what did you think of Cocaine Bear?
Oh, I'm glad you added the bear part.
What did you think of cocaine before the show?
Well, you know, that's a different podcast.
Everyone got their packages in the mail right before the show as a preamble.
For the movie, I would have a different viewing experience. Saw it by myself in a mostly empty theater.
Oh, really? Oh my God!
And this
Wow.
was Monday, so it was pretty close to the movie's release. It was already pretty empty on my end.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a decently good time. For larger discussion, I'll get into more later. But it felt almost something close to Rat Race, if anyone has seen that movie with Rowan Atkinson and I think John Cleese is in it. It's an old 90s comedy about. We'll trying to avoid spoilers. The comparison makes sense with context.
Okay, I'll go with you on it.
I personally didn't feel it met the poster though, which is what everyone saw with, you know, Cocaine Bear and the white
right.
and the roar and all that. I felt it kind of like underplayed some of what it could have been. in a
Right.
few areas.
Yeah.
Yep.
And overall, I don't know if this is like just when you watch it more so by yourself, you're a bit more critical of it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like the story was as connected as it could have been. I honestly left the theater thinking I would have liked to see a comedy movie with these characters
Mm-hmm.
in a different scenario, because I
Mhm.
liked
Yeah.
the characters a lot, but the story didn't feel like it properly put the points together.
Yeah, I think I would agree. It was kind of doing two different storylines at once, but they never really blended well.
Mhm.
Like you get that kind of connection towards the end. Avoiding spoilers, but
Mhm.
yeah, otherwise it was kind of just almost jarring sometimes going back and forth between the two storylines. And I think like the nurse mom and her kid one was kind of the weaker of the two. Kind of
Mhm.
intersected a little bit with like the forest ranger and whatnot, but I think like the drug dealers trying to find their cocaine was definitely the more compelling, and it was like a buddy
Oh
cop,
yeah.
buddy criminal type film almost.
Oh yeah, I loved Eddie. Eddie
Yeah, yeah,
and the police the standoff on the
yeah.
gazebo was probably
In the
the
pergola.
highlight.
Yeah.
That was
Um,
good.
no, but it's I'd still say it's a good time overall.
Hmm.
Um, but there was some things they could have done story wise to really connect the dots, as it were, and make it like a really hit romp that's like good in multiple aspects instead of just like here or there.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I wonder if it'd be interesting to see what the script writing process is, because like it's based on true events, but like I want to
Mhm.
know how much of an extent they took, or it was that it was true, in that it was like uh cocaine got scattered throughout this wilderness and a bear got into it, and that's all we really know. We don't actually know a lot of the actual explicit events that happen from that
Mhm.
in terms
Yeah.
of real life.
I don't
I
think there
am,
was much. I think it's
yeah,
just
I
exactly
can't
that.
imagine there was either. Well, and I
I
think that like at the end of the film, this isn't really spoilers. This is like little text blurbs and
Mhm.
regarding the like true events stuff of like the cops never found any of the cocaine or
Uh-huh.
whatever, or something about that,
Mhm.
something to
Um,
that effect.
I think in terms of the based on true events, it was the fact that yes, the cocaine was dropped in a forest,
Hmm.
but I think that's where the true events kind of stopped, and they were like
That's
probably
even
probably
less
someone.
so.
I
Yeah.
think probably someone had the idea of, well, what if a bear found this
Yeah.
cocaine
Yeah.
and got into it?
Or no, I actually read the Wikipedia page for it
Mhm.
today of the like what actually happened, and like it is true to a yeah a certain point. A
Right.
drug dealer did throw out pounds and pounds of cocaine out of his airplane, and then
Yeah.
he parachuted out, but he did not survive the parachute. So very similar to the beginning of the story. That's not a spoiler. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, that's like the inciting incident of the whole
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
like thing, right?
And the bear did get into like every pound of cocaine and like ripped a bunch of bricks open and I think just overdosed.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's the
that's
actual
about
true
it.
thing, is
Okay.
it just OD'd and it just
Mu-
died. That's it. Didn't
Much
actually
sadder
cause any
movie.
havoc.
Much sadder movie.
A much
Yeah.
sadder movie, yeah. Cool.
But
Well, I
the
think.
bear is taxidermied. Cocaine bear is
Oh,
like in a
do you
museum.
think it's
Yeah.
full of
Yeah, I was about to
cocaine?
ask if like they kept to the lore and just
It's like a piggy bank with that little screw. You like unscrew the bottom, the belly, and then you can put your cocaine bricks up there. It's a weird image. I don't know why I went there. All right. Well, with that out of the way, we're going to go kind of more into more spoiler territory. So if you really care about the explicit events of Cocaine Bear, then click off now, pause the video, come back after you've watched the film. Or if you don't care, then stick around because we're going to get into the nitty gritty.
Martin Scorsese's Cocaine Bear. You gotta view it for yourself.
You really do. It is the definitive cinema experience. All right. So we didn't touch on it too much, but I can't imagine we'll have much to elaborate on in this department. But Michael, did you have much expectations for this film going in? And this can go into our highlights and lowlights.
Um, expectation wise, I was kind of in between.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wasn't really knowing what to expect, and that was fine. Just because, like, the promotion seemed to go two ways, and this played out in the movie as well. Where like the trailer was super duper high octane, almost shoot, I'm forgetting his name now. The guy who does Tyler Perry, almost like Tyler Perry-esque, huge. Every moment's a joke.
Right.
Everything's over the top. It's all
Yeah.
wacky comedy with some gore. Whereas whereas the poster almost makes you think that like it's almost like a thriller movie.
It's almost going to be like a snuff film, almost.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
like hikers stuck in the woods, and there's a bear,
Yeah.
and he's on cocaine, and it's angry. Um,
Never thought you'd say that, did you?
No, I realized I said it afterwards. But that was where my expectations kind of were. Like I wasn't sure what to expect,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't mind too much. I wouldn't actually mind that if more movies did that, kind of threw you off the scent of what's going into it.
Sure.
Which is a bit of a gamble. You know,
Yeah.
you're trying like will you
Totally.
get the crowd that's happy or that's unhappy, but expectation wise, I'd say like I was ready for something close to Sharknado. I was ready for much worse production
me
value.
too.
Mhm.
But then they had like the real clear camera work, lots of sweeping shots, the Stranger Things filter. It all looked much better than I thought it would.
Mhm.
But that's not an expectation.
Right. Yeah. Do you have
yeah.
any definitive highlights or lowlights for the film?
Highlights definitely the standoff on the
On the pergola.
on the pergola.
Yeah.
I said gazebo, but you corrected me and I forgot the word. The standoff on the pergola was just the best time, especially because immediately the cop realizing he doesn't know how to get down. I would have loved to spend like a whole minute of him just like testing ways to get down.
Yeah.
But I think in a grander sense, it's my favorite moment because that's when you have the best characters of the movie. Sans the like skinny white crackhead who ran off later in the movie, and that was fine. He didn't die. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like the cop and the two drug dealers was like that's like I would have loved the whole movie to just be them, just at odds with each other. Especially Eddie. Eddie's the best sad sack in the world.
Yeah.
But just like the whole scene of the pergola and them, the bear falling asleep on him, all this stuff. Low points. I'm actually going to have to say probably most of the park ranger.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just like I'm not one who really enjoys characters who are mean on purpose, and it was just like she hung around for too long. I guess like I feel like she should have died when they found the kids. I feel like that would have been a good send off for her. Because she just hung around too long. So just like her when the ambulance shows up, it's a bit much.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of this kind of goes off. I think why I didn't enjoy like the park ranger as much as, and that was like a lot of the like banter and humor didn't land for me. Kind of how you said earlier, Shay. It was just like a lot of it. It almost seemed like a lot of the cast was told to like try and do some improv stuff to see what they could come up with on set, but then it was just nothing was really sticking. So it's like, okay, well, we tried that, we'll include it in the movie anyway. So a lot of like that type of humor didn't really land for me. I think where it succeeded and where I think it would have maybe been a stronger film is if it just played into the absurd nature of the entire like premise. That's kind of what I was like expecting going into this film, is like it's like the most expensive B movie ever made, right? Or like the highest production quality anyway. And we kind of just got a very not not that it was like boring necessarily, but it was just like very straightforward. Like, yeah, cocaine or a bear did cocaine in the woods and then just started like wreaking havoc. I think it could have went a little harder and more like balls to the wall type
Hmm.
like movie. That would have been an even more gratifying experience coming out of it. But I think like I said earlier, the pacing was a little bit off when like they were trying to maybe develop some of these characters in these like in between scenes every now and then. And I think part of that could have been like avoided if they like had stuck to one storyline maybe a bit more, and then also kind of just dialed up the absurd nature of it all.
Hmm. Definitely.
um yeah, Shay, do you want to get into your any specific highlights or lowlights, your expectations?
Yeah. I mean, my expectations going into it is very similar to both y'all's. Like, expecting a $30 million budget B movie. I'm expecting it to be
Right.
absurd. Um, Elizabeth Banks has a very particular type of humor. So,
Yep.
and just yeah, just the marketing they did for the film, I was expecting it to be, has, in your words, balls to the wall, balls to the
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I felt the movie had a lot of opportunity to be a lot, yeah, just more absurd. There was like moments where I'm like, "Ooh, this is almost what I want it to be."
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
the ambulance scene. I really liked
Yeah.
that whole sequence,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just
Me too.
yeah, like just those moments where it's just like you would never be in this situation, and like the horror is also like the violence in it is so silly but
Yeah.
so gruesome, and I love the mixing of like, yeah, yeah, no. Even
Yeah.
the humor
No,
of like the park ranger flying out the ambulance and like landing on her face still in the
yeah.
stretcher, like that hit it for me. But
Yeah, they like hang on her face for so long as she's dragging across the concrete. It's so
I
awful.
know. Yeah,
My
like when their jokes hit, they hit really hard,
Yeah.
but there
And
was
and
too
it's
far
not
in
like
between.
the banter, right? It's the like the physical comedy of it all. And like kind of like how you said, Michael, it's the cop trying to get down from the gazebo. Like, how do I do this?
Definitely.
Um
Um, I guess like a midlight, because there's no high or low for it for me, would have been the VFX. Just because
yeah.
I think that's one of the points where they held back a lot, like especially that first kill when the bear killed the female hiker.
Oh, right.
I feel like that should have been blood splatter, just like mist of gore and
Sure.
organs everywhere. But it was kind of just like leg tossed over a bush,
Yeah.
and that was the end of it.
That I would agree, and I think that would work in a higher octane film, but like
Mhm.
I think that could almost be argued against just for the sake of like you want to kind of ramp up your violence, right?
Mhm.
Like so you want to start off relatively low stakes or like low impact, right? And then build up because like the very end with Ray Liotta's character getting literally ripped apart was like a pretty good like climax of
followed
violence, right?
by followed by in loving memory of Ray Liotta.
Yeah, yeah, that felt so weird. That's so weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I kind of agree with you there. Uh, although that would I think lend better to just having the whole film be like more gory, more bloody, right, more over the top.
Hmm. I
I
feel.
did just want to mention quickly, like bouncing off of Shay's highlight, my like favorite scene was probably in the park ranger like office where she shoots the one gang member dude. Because like Shay, our theater erupted when that scene happened. Because like I
I
don't think any of us saw that coming.
nobody saw it coming, and I felt like it was such a like good commentary on just like Americans with guns.
Yeah, it's this lady who has never fired a gun in her life. She's like holding it like this. And then the dumbass dude like steps in front of her too while he's like, "Oh, it's a bear."
I
That was a
know.
great scene.
Yeah, I know y'all didn't care for her that much, but I did find her physical comedy with the gun to be
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that I agree. The physical comedy from her was great. but it was just like the back and forth banter that I didn't find that great a lot of the time.
No.
Other than when like between Eddie and what's his friend's name, David, the two drug dealers, their banter and dynamic was great. They even had like a small little arc, as simple as it was in the whole film, of like, you're not my friend to you are my friend. Simple, but I mean, hey, it works.
Yeah.
I guess the my overall problem with the film has been its lack of picking a tone. Really, I guess is because like the bit where the ambulance arrives and there's gore and puddles and people are getting their faces bitten off and legs torn and like the one hand springs back and then falls off in the ambulance. That's one movie, and then Eddie and David, they're in another movie, and then like
Sure.
the hikers, they're in like a almost scary movie feels like, and then the kids. I don't want to forget the kids. The kids definitely a highlight. Those actors are great.
Yeah, they were
child actors.
fantastic.
They were arguably the best actors.
Especially Harry at the end. And I am so fucking tired.
Tired. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah, the kids were great. That almost felt like a to like bastardize it a little bit. It felt like akin to Stranger Things a little bit, right? It was like these smart ass kids in this like really like not otherworldly situation, but just this like over the top, like high stakes. There's a killer monster on the loose type feel. You know what I mean? Got that like a tiny little bit, but then it kind of went more into the adults.
Yeah. Overall, it was all pretty disjointed.
Yeah, I think they nailed the tone of like if it was just a straight horror comedy, I think they nailed that for the most part, because like a lot of the absurd gore going on and a lot of the physical comedy was really good. And a lot of like the almost like jump scare type scenes, I think, while they were pretty basic and they didn't like reinvent the wheel or anything, I still think they were serviceable. So yeah, I also just wanted to mention when it comes to expectations, I don't know if either of you remember like the official trailer very well, but like the way they framed that trailer was much different than the actual story beats of the film itself. Like I thought, based off the trailer anyway, I thought we were going to like see the bear like open up the cocaine and everything, but by the time we see it already, it's already having done that, right? And it just like gets straight into it, which I don't have a problem with that aspect of it, but it was just like a different sequence of events and presented in a bit of a different way. So I don't know, take that for what you will. Yeah, I think when we're talking about creator goal, I think they more or less nailed it on the head. I think I saw on Wikipedia that it's already made back its budget in its opening weekend. Box office is at like around 32 million as of I guess right now. So maybe just under its budget, but I imagine it'll probably make at least double, maybe even triple, especially if it goes into worldwide markets. But I think, yeah, it was. I think they accomplished it. They like succeeded in delivering a fun, at least one-time viewing of a bear doing cocaine.
I think the one thing that they actually really succeeded in that I really appreciated about it is that it brought a lot of people. It's bringing a lot of people back to theaters. I feel like we haven't seen. Yeah, there hasn't been a release like this in so long. Like the absurd movies you just want to see with your friends that are just an hour and a half. It's not like I love superhero movies, but like or big dramas that are like Oscar baited. Like there's certain types of movies that have just been coming out lately. And Cocaine Bear brought people to theaters and people were there to have a good time. And I think maybe that's creator goal at the end of the day. And I think it succeeded in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're looking at it through that lens of like I don't know if it's like it technically falls in this realm, but like one of those middle budget films, right? Like a fun, like Cocaine Bear. Oh, I got to go see that. That looks that looks insane. And it's not one of these big tentpole blockbuster franchise spin-off things that's coming out, or even like you said, Shay, it's some of the harder hitting drama films that come out like towards the ends of the year. Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm very happy. Like, our theater was sold out. I know, Michael, you're kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, but I mean, it depends on the market you're into, right?
Yeah, but I
So
feel like everyone's talking about it. I'm hearing Cocaine Bear everywhere I go. And even that's
absolutely.
even in circles that aren't, as movie heavy as my circles.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. I
yeah.
feel like it has penetrated that zeitgeist of like, you can maybe you can be one of those people that goes to see like a film in a movie theater like maybe 3 times a year or something, 5 times a year. And I feel like Cocaine Bear would be one of those films where it's like, oh, I got to go see this film, right? Like you said, Shay, at the beginning, it's like you grab a beer, go with your buds, have a good time.
Yep.
I'm a bit more conspiratorial with the creator
Oh, here we
goals.
go. I like this.
Um,
I like this
Yeah.
angle.
just because like I feel, not to toot my own horn, and I'm tooting that by saying this, I can generally feel when something's kind of written and when a producer's kind of touched something. And what it
Okay.
felt like was the DNA of the script, of the raw idea, was cocaine in the mountains, drop there. That's all
Mhm.
still there. And it felt like this was going to be, and I have to go on a mini tangent here to explain Rat Race, which was a movie that was
Okay.
like, in core concept, some millionaires have put a bag of money in a train station, tell
Mhm.
all these people in a casino, like like 5 different groups, here's the money, first person there gets it. And then you get a comedy based on all those 5 different groups trying to get there first. And
Okay.
it almost felt like this movie was supposed to be like that. Like, person who gets the cocaine first gets the money first.
Mhm.
And the bear was a much smaller role. And then
Right.
someone noticed, like, oh, hey, wouldn't that be cool if the bear was the main thing? And they
Right.
kind of took that original script of like, here's a group of people plus a bear trying to get cocaine, and the bear was just going to be like, he does it off to the side and he's a gag, and now the whole movie's around it. Not to say that's horrible, but
That's just how it
that's my,
felt to you.
yeah, that like the whole movie was based on something else, because it really felt like the movie came alive in different, more fun ways
Mhm.
when it wasn't a bear killing people on screen, which was fun at points, but
Sure.
also like, maybe I just really love the buddy cop aspect of it.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I
that
mean, that's
was,
totally fair.
mhm.
I can see where you're coming from with that, and I think I would land in the camp of them if that was actually the case, of them turning the focus onto the bear rather than that just kind of being the backdrop or the setting or even the
Mhm.
inciting incident or whatever. Um, I think it worked for the better, because I personally, anyway, I think I would have been disappointed had it been like, yeah, I'm gonna go see Cocaine Bear with all my friends, and then it's just about
Mhm.
all these various groups of people trying to find a bag of cocaine in the mountains. Um,
As you do.
so, well, as you do, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Um,
have you seen the movie The Package?
the
I have
pack.
not.
Nope, haven't seen that one either.
Okay. This is like Sim actually did it. This is like my
Oh,
favorite thing that
okay.
Sim has ever done. It's on Netflix. It's super ridiculous. It's about 4 teenagers go on a camping trip, and one of them accidentally cuts their own dick off, and
Oh,
it's about them trying to get this penis safely back to a hospital for him to get it restitched on. And
wow,
it's a very absurd, ridiculous, fast-paced movie, and I was really hoping it was going to be like Cocaine Bear.
that's hilarious. Wow,
There's just
that
the
almost sounds.
dynamics in the movie. Yeah, like just like the having the if they just had I wish it was kind of more for teenagers or whoever it is on a camping trip, and there's this like bear out there or
Right,
something. I don't know.
totally. Yeah, I wonder, and this could kind of play into the whole conspiratorial producers
Mhm.
hands-on aspect of it, of like, I wonder if they had that initial pitch of Cocaine Bear, and then it's like, okay, how can we do the least amount of work to get this as bare bones of a like standard Hollywood script as possible,
Yeah.
right?
There was a lot of hands in the whatever it's called. Hands in the bucket or hands
Oh,
on the
too
pot.
many
Yeah.
cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think it still overall a good time for the most part. And yeah, let's end on one pro and one con from each of us. Shay, you can start us off.
I would say I'll start with con. My biggest con was I would say the final third of the movie felt like one of those movies that if it was on TV, I would have just changed the channel, saying like,
Yep.
"Okay, I get the point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm checked out." There was a lot of dry spells
Yeah.
for me in it, and I think they could have afforded to trim off maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Pro, it was just a good excuse to go out with some buddies and drink beer and just laugh at a ridiculous movie.
And what more can
It's
you
as
ask
simple as
for?
that. Yeah.
Michael, how about you? One pro and one con?
I guess the con for me would be I wanted like I feel like with the limited amount of effects they have overall, over like 1 hour 30, there's not as much murdering as you'd expect in a movie called Cocaine Bear. I really would have liked if they gunned for a bigger budget or more practical effects on the
Sure.
gore to just really
Mm.
sell it. Especially like that leg from the
The lady
hiker.
hiker. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the hand snapping off in the ambulance while looking good in the moment. I realized that's not like even a prop
It's
or anything.
passable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I would have loved it if the effect went from passable to like this could win an Academy Award for
Like
whatever
yeah.
that means anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
Yeah, really.
and I guess a pro for it would be I would love a spin-off of Eddie and David. I loved their
Interesting.
chemistry a lot, and I loved how they were written. Just like this drug dealer playing therapist to a sad sack friend who's like doesn't want to see his kid. That'd be a pro for me. The potential for the Eddie and David spin-off, and I want Eddie, of course, with a really big frowny face on the poster, and there's a car blowing up behind them and something like that.
Make them the two leads for Meth Gator.
I
I think
You're just
that's the
going
way to
through
go.
animals and drugs.
Yeah,
Weed
why
monkey.
not? Right? Keep it in.
do hope this creates like a universe though. I think
Oh,
it
it
will.
absolutely will. Whether that stays in the Hollywood echelon of like budget tier, probably not. Well, and honestly, to be fair, I feel like this genre of film has probably already existed for however many years.
Oh, definitely. We were just talking about Sharknado the other day, and
Yeah.
my partner's never seen it, so I think we're gonna be watching it later tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry, but also have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fine. Just have a couple joints and some glasses of wine.
There you
It'll
go.
be
That's the
fine.
right way to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Weed Monkey and Meth
Weed
Crocodile.
monkey.
Um, I've run out of drugs. There you go. You can only do three. The three drugs.
What could we do in the skies? Heroin eagle? Sure, let's do that.
Oh, that's scary. I don't like
That
that
is
one.
scary. Excellent. Yeah, okay. My pro and con. My pro, it'll be just going back to that scene in the ranger hut with the two gang members and the park ranger, and she blows the guy's head off. That was just that's what I keep going back to whenever I like think about Cocaine Bear. So I think that's got to be my pro, which can kind of go into a broader pro of like just absurd, like violent, what do you call it? Like just like scenes that happened in the film. Like there were I think 2 or 3 scenes throughout the film that had like these big like long drawn out violent sequences that were executed pretty well. And then my con would probably just be the pacing overall. I think it could have been a little tighter and a little more focused. And I hope to see Eddie and what's his buddy's name? Eddie and David back on the big screen. All right.
All right, thank
that
you, Nick.
will about do it for
Awesome.
this episode of the NoScore Review Show. I think it's a recommendation from all of us, if I'm being so bold.
Yeah, I think so.
At least a oncer. Watch it with some friends. Have some substances nearby. Maybe that'll help out.
It's a movie that you could definitely talk to your friends throughout. Like, obviously, if you're not in the theater, if you're just watching it like in your living room,
don't talk to your friends in the theater.
Don't do that.
I don't want to
be
be
that
someone that
person.
enforces that.
No, it's the worst.
Excellent. Yes, Shay, Michael, thank you both very much for joining me this episode. Shay, where can the people find you?
People can find me on Letterboxd. I believe it's just Shay Martin.
Media, right?
Yeah, Shay Martin Media, and Shay Martin Media as well on Instagram. Or no, it's just letterboxd.com/Shay Martin.
Okay, perfect. Shay Martin Media. I'm sure you'll find them eventually somewhere if you look hard enough, if you really are compelled. And then do you have any recommendations for the audience? Anything you've watched, played, read, anything?
The movie I saw most recently outside of Cocaine Bear was Women Talking. It has a lot of nominations. It's good. It's decent enough.
What a strong recommendation.
I always forget about the recommendations, so I'm never prepared.
Hey, no, that's okay. It's a completely optional section. I don't want you to feel pressured at all. Yeah, I think Women Talking has 2 Oscar noms if you're into that sort of thing. I think it's
Best Picture
Direction
and Best Writing, I think.
Oh, Best Writing and Best Picture?
Best Picture and Best Writing, I believe, which is
okay.
Which is funny because the biggest critique I had about it was its writing. Apparently, I just don't know anything anymore.
Slammed.
Yeah.
Shay's got some beaks about Women Talking. Cool. And Michael, do you have any plugs you'd like to share with the audience at all? It's okay.
Well, oh no, people can find me same place they can find you, over on the Out of Focus podcast and YouTube channel, where we have discussions about movies, video games, not books yet because we don't read.
No, we don't read. We're uncultured.
Which is also funny because people can also find me on Patreon at Save the Day, where I write superhero anthology stories.
Sweet. So if you are into reading and are cultured, unlike me and Michael, then that's where you can find him. And then do you have any recommendations at all for what you've been playing or watching?
I'm very glad that you asked Shay first, so I had a chance to think about it.
Yeah.
I watched The Menu with Ray Fiennes.
Oh, what did you think?
Oh, it was a very, very great movie. It's if you love dark comedies and also fit into the niche of people who love like highbrow dark comedies and also watch daytime cooking shows, it's a phenomenal
blending of the two.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it's a film that works on levels of such smart writing, great cinematography, and just my favorite thing is text humor, which is to not give anything away. Yeah. It's a huge recommendation for me and definitely one of my favorite movies of last year.
Awesome. Yeah, I really am looking forward to giving that one a second chance because I think my first viewing of that one was harmed because of my expectations. I think I, like maybe most people, were kind of going in, based off the trailer at least, expecting like a cult horror film, like cannibal film of some sort. But I still enjoyed it for the most part. It's just not what I was expecting. So I definitely am looking forward to giving it a rewatch.
Oh yes, it's definitely something like in a couple of months' time I got to rewatch it to both re-up myself and like catch probably what's a million like Easter eggs and red herrings in the beginning.
Totally. Yeah, I agree. Excellent. You can find me right here wherever you're listening to or watching this episode of the NoScore Review Show on youtube.com or your favorite podcast listening service. You can also find my second YouTube channel at NoScore Plays, where I do video game Let's Play content if you're into that sort of thing. At the time of this video coming out, it should be my marathon of the Resident Evil remake games going up to the anticipated release of Resident Evil 4 Remake. So if you're into that sort of thing. If not, I also have some smaller indie games that I've played through already on the channel as well, and I'm hoping to do more of that in the future. Also go check out my Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania review, where Shay was also with me reviewing that. And then in terms of upcoming reviews, I've got one slated for Creed 3 coming out soon, and Scream 6 will be down the pipeline as well. So thank you all so much for watching this episode and listening to. And Shay and Matt, oh my God, Michael. I had one job, and there he goes. Thank you so much for joining me this episode, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.